Hi everyone, my name is Tatum. I'm going to be the host of today's internship panel. The purpose of this event is to show incoming UCI students what paid internships, are available through the school. And to do that, I've enlisted the help of these four lovely panelists who have all found success in finding internships through the school. First off, we have Jaimie Joo. She has a BA in art history and then also a master's in art history as well. And yeah, she has had an internship at the UCI Institute and then also the Museum of California Art. Hi, Jaimie. Next off, we have Ryan Shannon. He has a BA in Film and Media Studies, and he has interned for the Communications Department for the Humanities. He has also interned for the Newport Film Festival and also Disneyland, which is super cool. And next we have Isabella Keener. She is an English major and currently a peer advisor. And then we have Sydney Charles, who is a literary journalism major and criminology major. She is a staff writer for Paul Mirage. She is the New U Campus news editor. She also is the co-host of the podcast Black Fam 2.5 and also I almost said the nickname for it, The Welcome Table, which is a web series for the UCI Humanities Department, and in that is, in it in itself is an internship. I'm out of breath. Yeah, to introduce myself, again, my name is Tatum Larsen, and I'm an LJ major as well, and I'm also Sydney's co-host for Black Fam 2.5 and for TWT. I've also interned for the school's radio station, KUCI, and New University, and now I'm an editor as well. So yeah, I also like long walks on the beach and pina coladas, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so yeah, it's so great to see you guys here today. Thank you so much for coming. I think this is going to be a great way to let students know what opportunities are available to them at UCI. And yeah, to do that, I wanted to ask a few more pointed questions so that people can kind of like get the specifics, like the down low, in terms of the details of what that entails. So Jaimie, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you. So yeah, I was wondering, the arts seem kind of like it can seem like a closed off avenue for a lot of people. It can seem like it's very, excuse me, I need to take a breath of air. It can seem very closed off to people. And you obviously found a lot of success in the arts. And so I wanted to ask, how did you go about doing that? You know, in a world that can kind of seem, a little bit harder to get into, you found your way to it. So can you tell some students how you did that?
Yeah, I think accessibility in the art world is a huge problem. I think that there's this association with art history where only like a world, and I definitely grew up having that idea too. But once I got to college and once I got to UCI, I started taking art history classes and I really enjoyed it and I really loved it. And I think a really pivotal part of that was developing relationships with my professors and developing um, or just really being able to trust them as educators was something that really helped me feel more confident and being able to say the art world isn't just for a very specific type of person. Like I come from a lower middle class family and like no one in my family has any connections to the art world or like really any prior interest before me. And so it was really through education and through my awesome professors that I felt like, yeah, this is something that I want to have in my life for as long as I can imagine. So I definitely think like my classes, my professors, and a lot of it was also just my peers in art history that really helped me feel comfortable with being like, yeah, I love it. Like it's nothing's gonna stop me now, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so how did you find your opportunities? Did you find them through your professors? Did you seek them out yourself?
Oh yeah. I think the art history department is really stellar about letting all their students know like what opportunities are available, and like what they offer. Um, they are super communicative, and like, you know, art history is like a smaller major too, and I think that's a part of it. So word gets around really quickly, but I think my professors were always like, oh, are you interested in this? Like, you might be interested in applying for this. Or like, I might have, like, I remember once I was in an office hours with the professor and she was like, oh, you know, I heard that this museum was having an internship this summer. Like, if you're interested in applying. Like, so, yeah, a lot of the professors in the department itself was just so like open about what's available, who's like eligible for it, and like they reached out individually to students a lot of the time if they like met the eligibility requirements, which I thought was super cool.
Very cool. Yeah, that's very helpful to know. Wow. Yeah. Well, starting out next, Ryan, you have really cool experiences too. So when I was reading your internship experiences, they're kind of vastly different, or at least to me. So like communications at the humanities department, then the Newport Film Fest, and then Disneyland. And your major is in film and media studies. So my question for you is, how did your experiences at UCI help you conquer these like three very different internships, and how do they coincide in a way?
Yeah, that's that's tricky. The most direct correlation would be the communications department, through which I made films for the department. You know, I interviewed a lot of staff, a lot of faculty. It was great to get to know people and kind of communicate with them on that level. Um, but in terms of how UCI helped me to get that, I just read the emails really. You know, film media specifically, they send out a ton of emails with different networking opportunities or other various internship opportunities, etc. And one of those happened to be, you know, an open job position for a filmmaker with the marketing and communications department. And so I kind of went for it. I figured, why not? And it ended up, you know, working out, and I got it. And it was helpful being in film specifically. It feels like there's very much a community within that department. And so having roots in that already helped me, I think, to transition into being in a role where it's my job to, you know, communicate with people and then use that to present them authentically through films that highlight the school.
Very cool. Nice. And then how did that translate into your other roles, like at the Newport Film Fest and then at Disneyland? I'm particularly interested in your role at Disneyland. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but yeah, how did those experiences translate over there? Like, how did you sell yourself to the creators of the Newport Film Festival, and then also I guess your bosses at Disneyland? Like, how did that happen?
Very, very fair. I'll save Disneyland for last because it's kind of the weirdest one. But for Newport Film Festival, that was the most recent. A lot of it was just kind of trying to come across as a communicator, having that initiative. Like during interviews, I think to a degree they usually expect it to be awkward, but if you're willing to own that and just kind of live with yourself in that awkwardness, in that nervousness, then that's noticed and that's appreciated. I think that helps a lot. But in addition to that, just being passionate about film and having history with filmmaking, I think also registered and helped me to kind of to secure that. With Disney, it's a little less direct. So I did Disney before UCI because I'm a transfer student. So I was at College of the Redwoods, a community college for a while, and then while I was there, I did the Disney College program. I first did one in Florida for 4.5 months, and then in 2016 and then 2018, I did one in California, which is more competitive. It has more of a professional emphasis, whereas a lot of people go to the Florida one because they're just kind of looking for a break from school. They can go work at Disneyland, and you know there are professional opportunities there, but it's not necessarily everyone's focus. It's not like as emphasized as much. But yeah, I wasn't as streamlined in what in film at that point. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and that kind of helped me to just explore and get more real life experience. A big part of film is just knowing people's stories and communicating with people, and that was a good opportunity to meet a wide variety of people in a very unique kind of community setting. Yeah, and it's I don't know. I'm trying to. I guess it was important to just be kind of willing to put myself out there in that setting. I was a custodial cast member. Part of why they have like certain roles available to folks when applying, and you can put in a preference when you're applying to the internship program. And that's not necessarily a popular one, but I made it one of my top choices just because I knew it was an in. And it's also like, it's not a bad role necessarily. It's just, you see custodial and you're like, oh, I'll be just cleaning. Why do I want to do that at Disneyland? But at the same time, you're kind of walking free. You're not tied to any one place. You can roam free, and there's more freedom to it than with a lot of the other roles. So being willing to kind of do whatever they needed me for most, I think helped. But yeah, I also just prepared a lot for the phone interview. There's an online interview where they ask more questions, more just to gauge your level of, I guess, motivation or initiative. That's the word I'm looking for. And then there's a phone interview where it's more, it's more personable. It's more about why you're the right fit, and just preparing, for that thoroughly, partially because it was the first like real job I'd ever gone for. So there was a little more pressure in that, but just kind of preparing for that by researching questions that people had asked, and kind of gauging how I could best connect those to what my story was at the time, helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so preparing, and then it seems to me from what you're explaining, there's like a lot of power in having versatility. Like even though, the internships that you have aren't directly linked, it's, a powerful thing to be able to say that due to your communication skills, you're able to kind of bounce from different places because, you're able to communicate with different kinds of people and do different kinds of roles. So I think that's awesome. That's really awesome. And then Bella, you have a really cool job too as a peer advisor. That's amazing. So I was wondering, what is it like to, lead students, guide students as a part of your job? And what have you taken away from this experience so far?
Well, that is like one of the most likable things about my job, is that I get to interact with students like on a daily basis. Right now, because things are remote, everything's online. But I did work as a peer academic advisor last year for an entire year. I mean, minus spring quarter, of course. But I was able to interact with students one-on-one in an office setting. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed helping students like in person, and I enjoyed helping students when they would come in and they would be stressed, or they didn't know about a certain academic policy or didn't know about a certain class to take. I really enjoyed like getting the satisfaction of like helping that student, because even though it may seem like evident to some of us, like, oh, I need to take these classes, or I need to complete these courses, or I need to complete these requirements, a lot of students don't know that, or like don't know where to find those resources. So they just come in, and me or another peer academic advisor can come and help them. And I just really enjoy that part of my job. And I really would recommend anyone who likes to help people, or who likes to interact with students on a one-on-one basis, or if anyone is interested in advising or in counseling in general, to come in for this job, because I think it gives really good experience on how to interact with students one-on-one, and how to behave like in those certain settings and with that certain job.
Very cool. Nice. That's awesome. And then how did you come about that opportunity? Was it kind of like Ryan was saying, you were just kind of looking out for those opportunities via email where you reached out to?
Yeah. Well, I actually had just gotten back it was my sophomore year. I'm a current senior, and I had just gotten back from studying abroad. And I really wasn't looking to like get a job or like join anything because I just kind of wanted to like ease my way back in at UCI. I felt kind of like disconnected because I'd been in a whole other country for a whole semester. And so I was
Where
just,
were you?
I was in South Korea.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. So if anyone wants to study abroad, I really recommend that too. And I really just wanted to like ease my way back in to at UCI. Like I just want to complete my classes, you know, hang out with some friends, you know, have an easy quarter. But like 2 weeks in, I got really bored. And so then, like Ryan, I was just like looking through my emails. I know UCI sends a lot of emails and it's like really easy to disregard them or ignore them, but they give good opportunities via email. So I really would recommend, you know, just like looking through your emails, find anything that seems interesting to you. And I did receive like the application via email to be a peer academic advisor. And you did have to apply. I filled out a form, I turned it in, and I had to go through a couple interviews to get the job. But yeah, I did it via email, and they do promote like the job on the website as well.
Nice. Very cool. Check your emails.
Yes,
That's
check
the moral of this panel thus far. Yeah. And then Sydney, hey girl. So my question for you is, you know, journalism is, especially now, it's coming off the page, right? There's podcasting, there's radio, there's broadcast. And as a journalist yourself, you are experiencing that through some of the internships that you've had and continue to have now. So my question is, what is the importance of being able to diversify yourself within this field? And what are some of the most, I guess, pertinent lessons that you've learned from being able to experience so many different kinds of journalism within these past 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the most important lessons that I learned was don't be afraid to push yourself into new opportunities. For example, my editor position with the new U started as an actual internship. My freshman year, I was a little baby, and I remember I was sitting in a humanities core class, and some members from the new U did this little presentation. They're like, "Oh, come join the new U, get work experience." Da, 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 da. And I was like, "Wow, like should I do this?" And you know, I had been an editor for my high school newspaper upon entering college, so I knew that the journalism sector was the thing that I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to go exactly about it. So I remember I heard them speak. I was really, really nervous, but I was young and I was hungry. So I was like, you know what, let me just go to this pitch meeting and throw myself in the situation. And, you know, that's like 3 years ago. So that was probably one of the better decisions I've made in my life, even though I was very nervous and I didn't really have a whole lot of experience. I had no work clips, and now flash forward, I have more than 50. So I think that the new university has really gave me a lot of experience. And the reason why that started was because I put myself in a situation that I wasn't expecting, and I was very afraid at first. But I think that's one of the more pertinent lessons that I've learned. And with the dexterity of being able to work within different journalism related fields, like you mentioned, broadcast, podcast, like print. So there's all these different career sectors. And I think it is really important to become versatile in these fields because you just look more, I suppose you look more, what is the word I'm looking for? You just get a lot of work experience. And when you're applying for jobs, like people literally directly look for those types of things. Like I mentioned, work clips, there's also these things called newsreels, which I'm getting with the internship that I have with the Welcome Table, which is Tatum and I co-host this this web series that focuses on Black life and culture at UCI. So yeah, I do think that just put yourself into new situations, even if you're really nervous, it could end up being one of the best decisions of your life. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's awesome. So guys, thank you so much for coming on this panel. Before we close out, I wanted to ask each one of you if you can give one piece of advice to incoming UCI students regarding internships or just life at UCI in general, what would it be? And Jaimie, I'm going to call you out again. Like we're going to start with you. What do you think? What do you think is the most important piece of advice for UCI students?
Well, I think it wouldn't be right if I didn't start with the disclaimer that I graduated before Corona, like a year before Corona. So I can't speak to how the pandemic is going to affect everyone, even after it's safe to be on campus. But I will say that it wasn't until that I got to UCI that I felt really like passionate about learning, and I really felt like I found educational subjects that I really loved. And it wasn't until UCI that I felt like I found like a community of people inspired me to like push myself to work harder, and to just pursue what I love. So I do think that it's really important for students to open themselves up to other people, as hard as that sounds and as abstract as it sounds. The closest friends in my life right now are still the people that I met at UCI. And yeah, I think sometimes we also, as students, like have really high expectations of ourselves. I know I did, and do, and I think it's like those expectations are very specific. But like now that I've graduated, I also see that like there's a lot of benefit in not having like super specific and high standards for yourself, and to be easy for yourself, especially in a really difficult time like this. So I think I just would really encourage students to enjoy the people that they're with. Open yourselves up to opportunities like we've learned on this panel, but definitely take care of yourself, and there's no need to be hard on yourself. The world is like hard enough. So that's
Amen. Yeah,
two
no,
cents. Yeah.
that was amazing. Yeah, no, especially now, there are a lot of opportunities that obviously are online now, but it's also a great idea to take care of yourself because, tough times. So I think that's great advice, Jaimie. And then going to Ryan, what do you think about that? What's one piece of advice that you would give to incoming students?
Yeah, I have a couple that kind of tie together. Smaller thing is just to kind of be willing to do things that don't necessarily tie into your ultimate ambitions. One of my favorite things that I did at UCI was do the improv club for a while, which isn't film at all, but it was an opportunity to be myself in a way that I wasn't accustomed to, and kind of force myself to be vulnerable and kind of in a fun environment. And I'm not that's not that specific example isn't necessarily for everybody, but being willing to explore those I think is important. And then something that I've always struggled with that I think is really important is just because at this point you can kind of feel like you have your whole life ahead of you, have your whole career ahead of you, etc. It can be easy to be focused on getting be constantly in that mindset of getting things done and moving on to the next thing, and then okay, we're going to get this internship, and then we're going to finish it, and we're going to move on to the next internship. And it's important to remember to just kind of live in the moment and just know what just kind of feel the weight of that, because if you're constantly pushing for the next thing, everything's going to pass you by before you realize it. When you're in school, it's easy to feel like it's all about that end goal, but it's not. It's about a lot of the value of the experiences you're getting here come from just being as present in them as you can be. And that's not always easy when you're always working towards goals, but it's important to remember, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just remembering that this is an entire experience. It's not just a 4-year period to be a workhorse. It's actually like a period of growth too. So just living with that, sitting with that, and just appreciating the process, I think is a great way to get the most out of your college experience. So thank you, Ryan. That's awesome. And then Bella, to you, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. I feel like I'm like repeating everyone at this point, but really like put yourself out there. School, I mean, it may just seem like that right now because everything's remote and we're not on campus where we can like go to go meet at clubs or certain organizations or get a certain job. But like for me, when I was a freshman at UCI, my first quarter, I was just really stressed about my academics, and all I really did was go to class. I didn't really go like to any outside events other than class. And I really do regret that because I really feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunities because like Ryan said, like college isn't just academics and like work, like it's an experience. And you know, have fun, like enjoy yourself. Don't just be stressed constantly. Don't be stressed if you don't have, you know, like a 4.0 because it's really hard in college. It may have been easy in high school, but it's really hard and it's okay, you know. You just have to kind of like live for yourself, have fun, but not too much fun, you know. There's a balance. That's what I would advise. You should have a balance. And
Exactly.
like put yourself out there, you know, and also like try to like stay in your interests, you know, because if you're going to like do something that you don't like, then you're not going to succeed in that. So if you like maybe are doing like a certain major or a certain minor or a certain job that you're not interested in and you're just doing it for like to reach a certain outcome, you won't succeed in that. And I've seen that time and time again. So just do something that you enjoy, do something that you love, and you will be good.
Nice. Yeah. And that's probably really pertinent to you as a peer academic advisor, just kind of leading people on the path that they're really meant for is something that you're trained to do. So that's a great piece of advice. And then Sydney, what do you think?
Yeah, so mine echoes what the other panelists have already said. But for me, I just feel like everyone, it's okay not to know, you know, it's really just okay to experiment and experience different things of college. I think of college as the buffet of life. You know, if you pick a little here, you don't like that, okay, I'm not going to get that again. Pick a little here, more here, you know, so you just got to be open to new opportunities and open to new experiences. And it's okay to change your major like 4 times. Just kidding. But like, it's okay
That
to.
was me. I started out as kinesiology and then I made it here. So, you know, it happens.
It's okay not to know. Don't stress out about it. You're going to be fine. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. That was so great. I'm not an incoming UCI student, but like I feel so like warm and fuzzy right now and encouraged, even though I'm a 4th year. So yeah, thank you all for coming on today and sharing your awesome experiences. I'm sure whoever's watching out there has a lot of things to glean and ponder and take with them into UCI. So really appreciate it. Yeah, so thank you all for watching this internship panel. It's been so wonderful. And thank you all to the lovely guests. So yeah, thank you. Goodbye. I hope you guys have a wonderful time at UCI.